You can only ever act based off your chemistry and conditioning. You are simply nature running off. You can never make a mistake or a wrong decision. That assumes control, right? All suffering assumes control because we think we're somebody doing something and we think we're in control. You ain't doing shit. You just think you're somebody doing something and you think you're in control. You're identifying with the doer, with the somebody, with the actor, the ego. You're identifying what you're creating separation by creating that identification, by thinking you're somebody doing something. You ain't doing shit. We're just nature running off. We're just nature running off. We're just chemistry and conditioning. So we can sit back and enjoy the ride. The game's already over, my friend. The game's already over. What is the highest perspective? The perspective of God. Stand in the center of the circle and allow all things to take their course. Surrender the present moment. Control only exists in the thinking mind. What happens when we stop thinking? We give up control. And we realize we ain't doing shit. We're not doing anything. We just think we're doing something. We're attached with a decision maker. We're identifying, we're creating that separation. We need to come back to wholeness. Remember, God is patiently waiting for our undivided attention. That's going back to wholeness with the one. The present moment. It always comes back to the present moment, no matter what the issue is. It always comes back to more presence. Whenever we catch ourselves out of balance, why are we out of balance? Because we're not present enough. Right? We're allowing too much stimulation. We are born into a sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information in the illusion of chaos, fear, and confusion, right? And that sea of stimulation aggravates the cycles of thought, which has us thinking we're somebody doing something and has us thinking we're in control and thinking we know. All suffering assumes control. This is why we get caught in these cycles of suffering, because we keep getting caught in the game and the illusion. We keep thinking we're doing something. We keep thinking we're making decisions. We're stressing. Anytime we catch ourselves stressing or worrying, oh, why did I do this? What happens if I do this? I don't know if we should do this or this. None of that really matters. That's all part of the game. There is no good or bad. Right? We have to release our attachment to good or bad and simply observe no matter what's happening. We don't get mad and we don't get excited necessarily, because we're just observing. Our chemistry and our conditioning might show otherwise, right? But we can observe that. We can observe whatever's happening and realize we're not making any decisions. You can only ever make one decision, ever. You are never going to make another decision. Now apply that to everyone else, and then we realize we can't really be mad at anybody for anything, because they're a program. We're judging a program, right? Chemistry and conditioning, nature running off. Not just us, everyone else is nature running off. What the hell is nature running off? Chemistry and conditioning. It's simply what we are. We're nature running off. We're not doing anything. We're just attached. We're identifying to the doer, the actor, the somebodyness, the ego. What happens when you stop thinking long enough? Long enough. Presence long enough. Meditation, removing the aggravators, facilitating a state of peace, emptying and reconstituting the mind, which creates space and allows for deeper understanding. I see many people on the journey, the only path there is, which is what? Presence and purification. Really, that's all there is to do. There's nothing to do but to do nothing. Stop thinking. I see many people still struggling, no matter where they are, with certain things, because they're thinking. It all comes back to the thinking mind. It comes back to not enough presence and too much stimulation, and it's hard to balance. Why do we have any of our imbalances? Because we're not present enough. Remember, the lack of presence breeds impatience, right? We're not present enough. We get mad at somebody for doing something. It's amazing when we can empty our mind enough to gain enough deeper understanding to realize we're just nature running off. We can observe our own and others, and everything else is nature running off. It's amazing when you achieve this perspective on your path of presence and purification. And if this is a hard thing to understand, no control, nature running off, we need more presence. We need to empty the mind, stop taking in information, facilitate a state of peace, to create space to gain a deeper understanding from the divine, from God. This is what happened to me. This is why I'm explaining my experience. And I know you're here, my friends, because you can relate to this, and you're on the same path, the only path that there is, which is presence and purification, surrender, giving it all up, giving up all of our attachments to the illusion, right? And becoming the observer. Because we're not doing anything. We just think we're somebody doing something. This is all of our suffering takes place in the illusion because we're creating time. Remember, there is no time. What happens when you surrender? You're in the present moment. There is no time. The past and the future is things we get stuck in when we think we're in control and we think we're making decisions and we're identifying with the doer. There really is the only eternal present moment of God's love. There isn't any other time. You can't go anywhere at any other time besides right here, right now, right? There's no other place and no other time besides right here, right now. The eternal present moment of God's love. Our mind gets stimulated, right? And then there goes the cycles of thought. This is how they control us in the illusion, right? The C is stimulation. Keep ramping up the stimulation to keep the cycles of thought going, because once we start thinking, we think we're somebody doing something, we think we're in control. Cycles of suffering. Easier to control. No common sense, because if we're thinking we're not in the center of the circle, we're creating separation from the whole. We're not in the center of the circle, and we're caught in lower limiting perspectives. We have no true common sense. If we're thinking, we do not have true common sense, because we're going to have attachments and biases. We're going to have attachments. And to stand in the center of the circle and allow all things to take their course, part of standing in the circle, no thinking, is detachment, right? Is having no attachments, detachments, giving it all, having no control. This is part of standing in the circle. This is how we have true common sense, right? This is how they control us, because when we're thinking, we lose true common sense and we're easier to control and manipulate. But again, I'm talking at many different levels. This is the kind of the illusion level. But certain people need to hear certain things at certain levels, right? I am God's eternal love pouring forth. That's why we're here, to become unconditional love. Vessels of God's unconditional love. That is our higher self. That is how we escape the game or the illusion. That's how we evolve our consciousness out of the illusion, is just by doing nothing. There's nothing to do. We're not actually doing nothing. We're not actually doing anything. We just think we're somebody doing something. There's nothing to do but to do nothing. Stop thinking and end all of your problems. Why do I say this in so many of my videos? I did not come up with these quotes. Some of the things, a lot of the things I say, I have come up that have come from the divine, right? But some things are quotes. I believe they're from the Tao Te Ching. They may not be. It doesn't matter. Thinking is the cause of all suffering. Stop thinking and end all of your problems. Because when we stop thinking, we give up control. All suffering assumes control. All of our worry, our guilt, our shame, our regret, judgment, sin, all assume control. But when we stop thinking long enough, and become the observer long enough, we see we're simply nature running off. And there is no control, chemistry and conditioning. This is the highest perspective. This frees us from all the traps of the illusion, which are part of the thinking mind. So don't worry, my beautiful friends. Don't stress. Whenever we catch ourselves worrying or stressing, we can just remind ourselves. A friendly reminder, which is what my videos are. To myself, which is everyone. And to all of you beautiful friends. Always come back to presence. When you observe you're out of balance, keep observing. And realize you're just observing your chemistry and conditioning, doing what they're doing. You're just observing your nature running off. And we will observe ourselves correcting ourselves, basically, right? We're observing the correction through presence. Because presence is what brings us up, opens our consciousness, right? No matter what we're doing, we don't need to judge ourselves. We don't need to judge others. I see a lot of people on the purification path still caught very heavily in ego type situations, lots of judgment, right? Lots of pumping up the ego, right? Vain things like that. I see a lot of this in the spectrum because everybody's just at different points. It doesn't matter. Even if you're high in the purification, you could be still caught. I mean, we're all caught in the game at one level. I certainly am. Every day, the illusion gets me. The illusion sneaks up on me. You know what I mean? Oh, stimulation, gotcha. Watch it. Oh, you're caught now. Well, caught you. Bzz, bzz, bzz. But I really ain't doing anything anyway. All I have to do is observe it. I'm not getting mad at myself. I'm trying not to judge myself. Every time you catch yourself judging yourself, like, oh man, why did I do that? You're like, you were always going to do it. That was always going to happen. That's just my chemistry and conditioning. Come back to the present moment. Come back to your breath. Come back to a mantra. Come back to the sounds around you. Nature. Close your eyes if you are able. Because remember, we were brought into the sea of stimulation to see how long it takes us to cut off the sea of stimulation, to give up the sea of stimulation, and give our undivided attention to our cosmic beloved. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Namaste.